Is Candace Owens actually a man?
So this is what is called transvestigation, for the record.
Oh, bro.
It's one of my favorite. It is one of my favorite conspiracy theories, because the conspiracy theory itself is rooted within the idea that gender is rigid and binary. But because gender actually in practice...
No.
Hold on. Oh, I mean, here, JLP is another guy. Jesse Lee Peterson does this. But here, Malcolm X is much better.
When black people like me talk to the slaves, they didn't kill him. They sent some old house Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always...
This is a matter of historical record. Obviously, he's like using this in his conversation, but like this is what he's describing is a matter of historical record.
Right.
Like
looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right up next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master. Good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter, boss? We sick?" When the master's house caught a fire, he'd try and put the fire out. He didn't want his master's house burned. He never wanted his master's property threatened. And he was more defensive of it than the master was. That was the house Negro. But then you had some field Negroes who lived in huts, had nothing to lose. They wore the worst kind of clothes, they ate the worst food, and they caught hell. They felt the sting of the lash. They hated their master. Oh, yes, they did.
So Candace Owens' position within the conservative movement is basically offering moral permission to white supremacists to feel more comfortable in an increasingly more liberal, more tolerant society. She puts a black face on white supremacy so that white supremacists can feel more comfortable and always point back to someone and go, a black person, and go, "See, she agrees with me." That's basically, that's basically the role she fills, and she's very successful at it. She's very good at it. Back in like 2016, Candace Owens, I know for a very long time, but Candace Owens Candace Owens successfully sued the Board of Education in the state of Connecticut, as a matter of fact, for being victim to a hate crime when she was growing up in school. Candace Owens, up until 2016, was like running an anti-Trump blog, and then turned heel and realized that it was infinitely more profitable to play this role as a commentator in the conservative circuit.
Yep.
So
it's a hot place to be right now.
Yeah,
it's a real hot. You being on the other side is like, talk about the pendulum swinging. Like 6 years ago, like you were in the place everybody wanted to be, and now you're in a place that nobody wants to be.
Yeah,
in terms of your approach, and you're still running it, which is
but I'll take it one step further, because 10 years ago it was also still a place that no one wanted to be at as well, and I was still saying the same things. Like I have videos from like 2016, 2017 that I often go back to show a chat whenever I'm talking about like something that's an issue that has persisted since then, like my video on Jordan Peterson. Back then, Jordan Peterson was seen as like this liberal guy when he very clearly wasn't. And I used to make videos about how he is actually a right-wing reactionary who engages in like ridiculous, nonsensical positions and is oftentimes like ahistorical or unscientific in his like commentary. And many, even liberals, would get mad at me for saying this because they were like, "What the fuck are you talking about? He's just a guy who wrote a really cool book
and cries a lot."
And cries a lot. Now he's like much more open about being a right winger, of course.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, I come from a background where my position was even less popular 10 years ago. And at least now with Bernie Sanders, with AOC, with the squad, and like democratic socialism becoming like a little bit more permissible to advocate for in public, I would say that I am, you know, obviously in a less fortunate position than I would be when I was in like 2017, when everyone was like, I'm a radical. Everyone was like, I'm the most woke guy. I'm the most progressive guy. But it's still, I think the situation is still infinitely better than like 2014, 2015, 2016.
What situation?
The situation for the left and like leftist visibility and like being openly progressive, I would say there's at least like safe harbor for my opinions now than there were in 2014.
I think that could change quickly. I think that's at risk. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like, dude, there's a lot. First and foremost, like just a bookend like the Candace Owens stuff. Like, she kind of said one time that I have an underbite, which I don't think I have an underbite. Like I had braces. My teeth are pretty.
Dude, you have Giga Chad jaw, dude. You do this.
What is it? What is that? No, I don't have that type of jaw. You have a. Look, I don't have that. I have a huge nose, bro. Anyways, get back to what I was saying. She once said that I have an underbite, which is fine. I'm not here to slam anyone. I don't do a lot of slamming of people just because I don't like that. And that's not the type of energy I like to put out into the world. I like to stay positive. But I would say that she is inarguably a hate farmer. I would say that she is inarguably a hate farmer. She is monetizing the same type of negative energy that so many other people are on the internet right now. And when you go on X and you see me arguing, I'm not arguing for any other reason besides that is the energy that I despise so much. That is the energy that is draining our society so much. And all of these people who are standing on this pedestal of moral high ground, that they are going to wake us up. They're going to wake the people up who have been sheep, who have been lied to for so long. The biggest lie being told right now is that it's okay for us to hate each other. All of this division is being sown by the same people that these brainiacs are claiming to know their game and be able to see through it. You're just simply doing their work for them. Yeah. That division that the government and that mainstream media has been pushing down to us is now being done by pundits on Twitter.
Yeah, and by the way,
formerly known as Twitter.
It always, for the record, that always was the case. I use the direct example that like back in the day, you had in like 2014, 2015, you had Gamergate, and you had like SJW compilations, right? People used to love making these videos about how like, look at these woke SJWs crying, like they're bullying people and crying at the same time. Yeah, Trump is elected. Yeah. The irony is conservatives always had their own version of that as well, but because they so very deliberately crafted this one-sided argument that it was the leftists and the SJWs, the social justice warriors, that wanted to like censor opposition, and many of them did for sure.
Absolutely.
That this narrative was presented and has never gone away from our collective public consciousness, that this is somehow a liberal position. Conservatives, would you be shocked if I were to tell you that in that same time frame, conservatives were responsible for the overwhelming majority of books being banned in schools, as they are now as well?
No, that's not surprising whatsoever.
Yeah.
No. The double-edged sword of all of this is no one wants to see. No one wants to talk about that. The amount of hypocrisy that exists on both sides is insane.
Yeah.
The thing is, Hasan, I won't come on here and claim to be in the same realm as you in terms of my political thought processes. I won't. I'm bro, there's a lot of places where you and I differ. I am by no means a leftist. I will get called a leftist online constantly. Yes, I'm calling out
as a fucking pejorative too. They're like, "Oh, you fucking leftist." Like,
yeah, like it's gonna make me go cry in the bathroom or something. I don't give a shit. I very much am policy based. I have certain thoughts on certain things, and I believe that's where all of us are. If you ask me my thoughts on abortion, I'll give you my thoughts on abortion. I believe women should have requisited access to abortion rights. Okay.
It's a medical decision that should be left to a medical professional and the person who's the carrier.
To an end. Do I believe that women should have? I'll just fucking say it, bro. I'm not scared to say it. Do I believe that women that third trimester abortion should be a thing? I believe that there should be adoption considered. I believe that there should be other outlets besides that, because at some point a fetus does become a child. Yeah. So listen, kill me for it. You know what I'm saying? Call me a fucking conservative or
no one is going to say that.
Trumper.
No one is going to say that. It's not. Many people think that your position on this is like being led by some ideological reasoning that like thinks that you want to control what women can and can't do. It's actually guided by a lack of clear-cut mainstream narratives, and this is, I think, a issue with liberal media in general, not openly educating people who are open-minded, such as yourself, on the reality of third trimester abortions. There is not a single, would it surprise you if I were to tell you that there is not a single state that allows, in this country that allows unrestricted third trimester abortion?
Good. So I guess like I'm in line with the current belief set there.
So New York's not real.
New York cuts it at what? Two?
No, the only way, that doesn't mean that third trimester abortions don't happen. They do. They are very, very, very phenomenally rare. Now, why does it happen?
A medical problem for the woman.
Exactly.
that could risk her life, which obviously makes complete sense. And of course there are going to be times that's the other thing that I want to start this stream off with today. Your chat will get it, because let's just be honest, you got a fucking smart audience base, bro. These people are interested in these types of topics.
I'm gonna say it,
bro. If they're watching this type of stuff and they're paying attention to this stuff, they clearly have an intelligence quotient, and they know what's going on, right?
Don't pander to them. They don't fucking know anything. They're dumb as hell.
Nuance. I want to tattoo that word across my forehead.
Yeah, nuance and charitability. Nuance and charitability.
It is such an avoided term in today's day and age. When I say anything that contains any type of nuance or gray area, I am labeled as a fence sitter. Oh, you can't pick a side, pussy. You can't pick a side.
Well, but you have on the abortion issue. You have picked a side. I
don't believe that biological men should play in women's sports.
Okay, so again, does
that make me a fucking a ferocious right winger? I don't think that biological men should play women's sports.
I am going to pee really quickly, and I'm going to talk to you about that.
No, don't leave me on that. Don't leave me on that.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Don't leave me on that.
Just like what you just said about third trimester abortion.
Oh, here we go.
Just exactly the same principle exists for the concept of like biological men playing in women's sports.
What do you mean by that? It's not a thing, or it's incredibly rare?
No, not only is it incredibly rare, but also beyond that, it is simply designed as a talking point that is divisive, because the conservative movement's overarching goal is to erase trans people from public existence
and to drive fear. I'm with
now,
you.
Now I can tell you I can detail the exact lobbying groups.
I've seen the commercials on television.
The exact lobbying groups that actually came up with this narrative. In 2015, 2016, North Carolina wanted to implement a bathroom bill. They said trans women should not be allowed in women's restrooms. Okay, this was before Donald Trump. I mean, right around the time when Donald Trump was running for president, actually, 2016. Sure. Donald Trump back then said, "The fuck are you guys doing? Let people piss wherever they want to piss." Caitlyn Jenner can come piss in Trump Tower in the women's restroom. Yeah, basically. I don't care. Do you know why Trump said that?
Because he was pandering, probably.
Well, not only that, but Trump is a very good room reader. He reads the room very well.
Right.
Because at the time, everyone was like, "The fuck do you mean trans women can't piss in the women's restroom?
Right.
That's fucking idiotic. Like, what are you talking
Let
about?
people do what they want to do.
How are you going to figure out who's a trans woman and who's not? First of all, like that's insane, right? This would be impossible to enforce anyway, and it's just like a really stupid restrictive law. The public actually was very upset at this bill even being passed or even being talked about. Hollywood said that they would pull support from the entire state. They would never actually, they would never have a single set on the state ever again. Like entire industries were very upset about it. And the collective consciousness realized that this was a silly ass way to try and shit on trans people. The Republicans learned their lesson from that. They went back to the drawing board because the ultimate goal was always to vilify trans people and say that they're like pedophiles and say that they're like harming children.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah. See, like,
but that narrative is also, again, a normie like yourself, you're not going to fucking agree with that. You're going to be like, I know trans people. That's fucking ridiculous. You're being, you know, a monster for saying such a thing.
For sure.
Right? But a normie like you, they found out because they focus tested this. A normie like you cares about what? Sports. Sports is no, listen.
To an extent.
Sports in the way that it is designed in the American consciousness is one of the only areas where we can actually come close to a real meritocracy. Okay? There is no world in which if LeBron isn't the fucking GOAT, he's actually getting a top billing, right?
Right.
Because it is meritocratic ultimately. So there is a baked in concept, a principle of fairness in sports that people believe and abide by.
For sure.
So they realized if you want to be anti-trans, you have to pair that up with an area, with a narrative of fairness. Trans people participating in sports is unfair because trans women are actually stronger than cis women, you know, what you called biological women. And trans people are actually indecently trying to maliciously enter the arena of sports. I don't
think that's the case.
No.
I know you're not saying that, but I'm just saying I don't agree. I don't agree. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
That's how they presented it.
I think they're just trying to fit into go ahead. Sorry.
And here's the thing. That was a phenomenally successful narrative because if you look at the actual like approval ratings of such an marginal, such an incomprehensible thing that no one should ever even think about beyond like unless you were constantly prodded to think about it, you would never think about it. This issue basically was hammered in to the public consciousness as a deliberate mechanism to write anti-trans bills, which were very damaging not only to the small like 2 or 3 trans students that were like participating in athletic competitions in some states like Kansas. There was literally 4 trans girls that were participating in competition.
Let me just go. Sorry. The bill was dangerous.
But beyond that, it actually harmed in places like Ohio cis women because they implemented. How are you going to figure out who's trans and who's not? They literally started saying that they were going to push for bills like penis inspection day. It sounds like a fucking joke, but you have a Republican Party that was now pushing for bills to say if a parent in the opposing team decides that like there might be suspicion that there's a trans girl playing on the opposing team, then someone has to come in and check that if they're trans or not.
Ridiculous. But my point is to call a problem scarce or rare and use that as a rationale to avoid the discussion, especially for a situation that is becoming, as you can tell based on statistics, more and more of a prevalent problem over the not a prevalent problem, more of a prevalent issue over the short term here. It's a situation that needs to be discussed. Like it's like, okay, if you have a child and
see, someone in the chat said it, the fact that it is rare makes it not a problem though. Well, I guess I thought he was trying to say the fact that it's rare does not make it not a problem.
Not a problem.
Does
it make it a point that it needs to be a massive talking point that defines the community? Absolutely not. And,
Well,
and to your point, like this shouldn't be harming.
Conservatives are very good at. My point was conservatives are very good at building up imaginary problems
For sure.
that correspond to their broader ideological goals, like the third trimester abortion thing. The way that conservatives talk about it, you would think women are personally getting incubated with semen
For sure.
so they can have a for funsies third trimester abortion. That is not the reality. But the impact of legislation does actually harm a shit ton of women because now they can't get abortions for ectopic pregnancies, right? Like things that actually harm the carrier.
Them, yeah.
Pregnancy across the board in the United States of America can be a really harmful endeavor regardless, especially when you look at some of these numbers like the amount of the percentage of black women that die in the process of pregnancy or during birth is unimaginably disproportionately high in comparison to white women, for example. Like we have a real issue.
Socioeconomic.
Well, it's not just the socioeconomic issues, but we just have a real problem with like our healthcare structure. It's like fundamentally busted.
Do you know how long I've been looking for a therapist?
Yeah,
like it's
you're rich, and that's the thing.
I have money,
yeah,
bro.
That's the thing.
I have been looking to
even if you're rich, you're still fucking cooked. So
our system's fucked. Our medical system's fucked up. But basically, the reason I was bringing those two situations up is although I do skew in the direction of personal choice. I have trans friends. I have gay friends. I love them. There's never a day that goes by where my thought process or my sentiment towards those people is affected by any of the decisions that they make in their life. It's just not. But I do wonder from time to time, where policy does overlap with life. And I brought up the last topic just simply because, like, yeah, you say you end up having a daughter and she wants to be a wrestler and she goes up against a transgender woman. It's a conversation worth having if and this is something we'll be talking about today, if it's done responsibly and with people's...
Yeah, but the problem is...
It's not going to be.
But the problem is it never is done responsibly because the reality is the reason why this conversation is being had is because it's, one, blown out of proportion, and two, blown out of proportion by people with a secondary interest in wanting to have this conversation over and over again.
Sure.
But because of the insanely rare occurrence of a trans athlete participating with cis athletes, it should be and was originally dealt with on a case-by-case basis.
Yep.
And broad sweeping legislation actually ends up harming cis women. The very same girls that like want to go and wrestle can now be called into question. Like, what if you're kind of jacked as a cis woman? And this happens all the time as well. So like anti-trans legislation ironically ends up harming more cis women that it ends up harming trans women because there aren't that many trans women to begin with, right? So this is something that a lot of women don't even realize, or this is something a lot of people don't realize when they're like advocating for this kind of like restrictive policy. So basically, it's like I said, it's a very deliberately crafted conversation piece that makes sense on its face. You're like, wait a minute. Okay, well, I think, yeah, like trans women are going to have some biological differences to cis women. This is true, right? Both bone density specifically, or even like some level of testosterone, naturally occurring testosterone production. But even on that front, I think that it is greatly exaggerated and overblown, which is why you always point to like a couple examples. Like one is, I think, Fallon Fox or whatever. Like there are a couple examples of trans athletes actually competing against cis women that have been successful, but there's an infinite number more trans women competing against cis women and getting fucking owned. One common example I love to go back to is what's her face? There was a swimmer, remember? And Riley Gaines. That doesn't
narrow it down very much.
No, there was a swimmer by the name of Riley Gaines, which ironically also doesn't fit. She doesn't even like fit the confines of like rigid gender ideology anyway. Like she's kind of fucking. She is a cis woman, Riley Gaines, and she's kind of jacked.
Okay,
like she has like broad shoulders.
Yeah,
she has
women have different makeups.
Yeah. Because there's biological diversity
For sure.
amongst
For sure.
cis women as well, because gender is socially defined, whereas like the biological concept that we're talking about is sex, right? And even sex is not binary, but bimodal rather, which means like, for example, both myself and Ben Shapiro are men. We're male.
Oh God.
And yet Ben
God.
Shapiro, I mean, this shows
Where's
like
this going right now?
this shows the diversity is what I'm trying to say. Like
what's the difference in
Ben's a man, I'm a man.
Yeah, and
as our gender is man, right?
you're 6'6",
But I'm 6'4". Ben is 5'4". Ben can't grow facial hair, and his voice never
bro.
broke.
Ben's been having a rough month, bro.
We can get into that, but
He's been having a rough
my
month.
point was that like that diversity exists within someone who like
For sure.
Riley Gaines, who got 5th place, right? Riley Gaines got 5th place, tied to trans swimmer Leah Thomas, and she launched a political career off of this, and has never let it go.
Right.
But Riley Gaines lost to 4 cis women before Leah Thomas.
Right.
It's not like, and Leah
It's
Thomas,
not like she was in second place by a hand touch.
Like Leah Thomas, the trans athlete in question, lost to 4 cis women.
Right.
So like, whenever people talk about like trans athletes, they make it seem like trans people are fucking superheroes. You know what I mean? Like they're just yacked and like and absolutely eviscerating the competition. Many of the cases, because, and this is another thing conservatives love doing, there are so many instances where conservatives would be like, well, what if someone just said they're a woman and then participated in competition against women by falsely claiming that they were a woman? There's not a single actual fucking instance of that happening, with the exception of conservative commentators doing it to prove a point.
Right.
They can't find someone, so they make the fucking problems themselves.
Listen, Hasan, you don't have to school me on the idea that. Honestly, I'm gonna just say this, because I'll go on both sides of it. The right has a way worse problem of this, of them using a rare situation or a scarce situation to drive fear into their base. That is their fucking entire game plan.
Yeah, that's all they do.
Like, yo, if we don't vote for XYZ candidate, every Mexican is coming into this country. Yeah. They're all gonna put something into the water to turn everybody into a transgender swimmer. And this is what I came on the show to talk about. These conspiracy theories that we're going to discuss today are all just Trojan horses for policy change in that direction. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And so your point is taken. The only reason I brought these two topics up was to establish the fact that I am not some sort of, I don't swing to either political side. I just don't. I'm very open policy-wise to issues on both sides of the fence in a nuanced and gray scenario. That's it.
But understand that like I do have to pee, and I still have to pee. I'm just holding it in because
I'll field some questions.
I didn't want to drop you in after you said biological women shouldn't compete.
They suck. Like,
yeah, I didn't want you to get dropped into that. They would have fucking thrown the gauntlet. This is one of the largest trans communities online.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to be here, and I'm learning, bro. I'm learning. Like you're teaching me shit that I didn't fucking know until today. And I'm a normie. Yo, shout out to all the normies in the chat right now. Some of us, we might not have the time or the brain capacity to be able to dive into the complex, deep, and heavily studied topics that Hasan is able to on a daily basis. We've got things going on in our lives, and that's why we tune into these type of shows, so that we can learn, right? And that's what we're here to do. Is there anyone in the chat that has any questions? Is there anything you guys are feeling out there? Where are you guys tuning in from? And how's your day going? Because that's a question that we should be asking each other a lot more. How are you? How are you feeling today? Are you mad? Are you angry? Are you sad? Did your dog just die? You know, and how that affects our day-to-day behavior on this planet, because we're humans. We're all humans, and we're all going through something. We're all doing the absolute best that we can out there. We're taking it day by day. I have days like yesterday was a really bad day for me. Today I feel really good. I'm happy that I'm here with you guys today, but we're all just, you know, we're all humans, and we're all just doing the best we can and trying to live the best way that we can. And hopefully we get to a point where soon we start being a little bit better to each other. I try to, as much as humanly possible, avoid conflict, because I hate the idea that something I might say might affect someone else's desire to live, desire to be happy. And I just wish that as a people, we could all just add a little bit more positivity into this world. And it's talking about things that are rare today. I think that's one of the most rare things. And so shoot someone a smile, ask somebody today how they're doing. And even if it's somebody that's on the opposite end of the aisle from you, somebody that thinks a little bit differently than you, find a way to look at that person as a brother or sister, and it'll make the world a better place. Welcome back, Hasan.
I had to pee real bad. So
I was just talking about positivity.
yeah, no, I heard.
It's gone, dude.
I heard. So, I think being charitable is a key part of this. Like being charitable to one another is a key part of this, and like having mutual respect. And I feel like, I mean, I definitely have figures that I don't respect and will openly like vilify them or openly belittle them. So I definitely participate in this personally as well. I think though the difference is I'm still grounded within a factual basis, and also I conduct analysis off of that facts, off of those facts, rather than you know, endlessly fucking foaming out of the mouth about shit that's not real, that's not really happening in the world. Anyway,
oh, I'd like to be called Mr. Burgerelli for the rest of the day today.
Mr. Burgerelli.
Burgerelli.
Did you watch that interview at all or no?
I've seen some of it. Just why, dude? We are in a wild time, bro. We are at a wild time right now on the internet. It's a really scary place. You can say whatever you want about the platform that is X, formerly known as Twitter, but dude, the stakes have been raised. Hasan, the stakes have been raised. Ooh, a hot take.
Yeah, no, this is from a dude who actually despises me now, but he's making the correct point here. Boogie2988 says, hot take, video games are supposed to be fun, not lectures about why being a white man is bad, which is not a thing that's happening in the world at all, right? In the world of video games, which you don't play because you're too busy.
I play Call of Duty.
You're too busy traveling the world and, you know, eating the finest cuts of meats.
Of beef.
Yeah, it's the best.
I'm exhausted from
No,
it,
dude, I love your Instagram story is great because I'm like, this is what actually I should be doing.
Bro, you're welcome whenever you want.
Real influencing stuff instead of fucking duking it out. Well, you do that regardless. You do that on your off time
for free.
Well, yeah, what I do professionally, you're doing for leisure, which is crazy.
For $112 a month on X.
Oh, do you actually you gave your bank information? Like, I don't get any revenue from Twitter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter regardless. I mean, you're not gonna make anything anyways. But can you imagine if we started IRL streaming, bro? Like going place. You know, I love traveling food.
I'm going to Australia.
Is that your first one?
No. I've been to Japan. I've done
first one to Australia. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I've never been to Australia before.
Place.
I'm going on the 24th. I'll be in Australia.
Dude, this little lover right here is
she's the best.
She's special. It's a rough week for me with dogs. I had to put my dog down.
Oh yeah, I heard. I had to do that during COVID. I had a pit bull. His name was Fish, and no, I get that. It does get better. I will tell you this.
Yeah. The issue with it was for me was it's my mom's dog, Finny, sweet fox terrier, 9 years old. She had kidney disease for the past 2 years, and she just lives alone with my mom. And my mom is like my favorite person on the planet, her and Finny. And so by way of Finny having this happen in the past week, it affects my mom greatly, and that affects me greatly. And yeah. I just want to say I had yesterday was not a good day for me, just in general, mentally, and also just dealing with this. And I had a bit of a meltdown on Jeff FM yesterday.
Yeah, people sent me a clip of it, and they wanted to ask what was going on there. I didn't watch it, but
I mean, like simply put, like Ryan, who's a recurring guest on the show. He's on every episode. You know, great kid, and somebody I've been friends with. He called in a couple months ago to deliver the news that his father had passed. The way that it was delivered was in a very like jovial manner, and that's how some people deal with death. That's how some people grieve.
Yeah.
You know, he was doing lines of coke off Jesus's face on you know, what's the DVD called? The Mel Gibson
Passion of Christ,
like doing them off the cover, and everybody was laughing and joking. So I made a joke that was basically like, hey, I have a 8 o'clock, I have to go. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just getting wild, right? And the whole conversation like made me uncomfortable a little bit. I guess evidently he had taken some offense to that. So when he called in yesterday, I was actually actively like sad, grieving, like hardcore, talking about the loss of my dog and how it was affecting my mom. And he called in and just was like, hey, look, I got to still play with my cat. Like, haha, like, sucks to be you. Like, and kind of took that approach. And I had a really weak moment. I flipped over the desk, like smashed like Jeff's podcast.
You flipped over the desk?
You can pull it up if you want.
Bro, what the fuck?
But
That's
listen,
awesome. No, he deserves it. Fuck Jeff, okay? He deserves that smoke after what he did to me.
Right now.
After what he did to me, he deserves that fucking retribution. Righteous retribution.
No, Jeff got nothing happened to Jeff as a result. He loved me.
Oh, he put it in the front. He put it in the beginning.
No, for Jeff, he'll monetize it.
Dude,
He'll monetize my pain immediately, bro. He did. No, fuck that. To Jeff's defense, he called me. He was very concerned about me when I left. These are jokes, but he was very concerned about me. And he made sure that I was okay after. But I had an emotional day yesterday, and I apologized to Jeff's audience and to Jeff too for having that moment. Death is hard, bro. It's really hard. It was a really rough week for me, and I feel bad about doing that. And everything's okay now.
By the way, we all love Jeff. For the record, I feel like I need to state this because like this is my usual like politics audience, and they don't know the comings and goings of like my friendships or whatever, or who these people even are. Maybe, bro, isn't that your barber? Exactly. Yeah, it's my blind barber, Jeff. But anyway, yeah, no, that's awesome.
I had a bad moment, and like this is like guys, that type of stuff is unacceptable. It makes for great programming, like everybody's laughing at it, but you know, I think the situation was basically people.
Live streaming my ass off right now. This shit's way too hard. You know what I'm saying? At Hasan Piker, you fucking piece of shit. No, you ruined his set harder than his fucking landlord did.
Maybe not that bad. Maybe not that bad. His landlord flooded the whole set. Yeah.
But I'm joining the war on landlords on the side of landlords after that one. Yeah, fuck this guy. Okay, he deserves to have his desk pulled over.
I threw a chair too. Like
bro. Was that real?
Like he sets it up as a teaser.
Yeah,
like,
he put it in as a teaser. Wait, where is it is it the end?
Yeah, you can go back a little bit. Before that. Back. Keep going.
Okay.
Right. So there's the call.
Yeah.
Honestly, you felt some type of way.
More, sorry.
Okay. Oh, well, you're here still. This is
go back just a little more. And apologize to you. I'm sorry that what I said
there
that
we
day
go. This is 2 months late.
Upset you.
Thank you.
More, you could hear the part about the dog. Like
yeah. Okay.
But
well, we don't have to relive this.
Forget it. Forget all of it. Anyways, it just was a rough day for me. We have bad days as people. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, like for me, with how my brain works and my mind works, like if I'd come on this show yesterday, Hasan, like we wouldn't even be having a good conversation. Like I
feel that.
I'm kind of at the whim of my mind sometimes. So yesterday was not a a day. So but
ask Mike if he remembers that time I smoked him in Qzar at Milford Amusement. The fuck?
Bro, that's where I'm from, Milford, Connecticut. Shout out to anybody watching this in Connecticut right now. Also,
apparently this guy.
Yeah. Also, anybody that plays Qzar or laser tag. Shout out to you guys.
You got fucking owned apparently at Qzar.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, they wanted me to ask you this, so it's just you know, I get it though, and people, it's so funny because like part of being, I guess, like influencers online creates this like false narrative or this false reality in the eyes of those who are watching that think that like they know better the personal relationships that people have that they're watching on camera, and then they make up these like
fan fiction.
They make up, yeah, they make up this like they make up their minds on it, and they're like, no matter what you tell me, I bet you're fucking faking it right now to save face. Like, I bet you actually hate Jeff and you hate Ryan, and what you did was unacceptable, and like it's really fucked up, and I will hate you forever for it, like that sort of shit. And it's really interesting, and it is a totally new phenomenon. But going back to another thing that the internet does that you brought up earlier, like back in the day, if you saw someone reading the National Enquirer, you would know to avoid that person if they thought it was serious, right? These context clues that we use, the overall like sussing out of the vibes, I would say, in a person-to-person interaction, we do not have online. So because we do not have that online, everyone, when they are just writing out a script, a text online under the guise of anonymity especially, can come across as reasonable, even if they're saying insanely unreasonable shit. And I think that has broken people's brains a little bit. The more we only have connections with other humans online rather than in person, the more we lose sight of the like what makes us human, a social animal, because being a social animal is changing at a rapid clip, and we don't have a way of like dealing with that, in my opinion.
We're cyborgs now.
Yeah.
Like I 2 years ago, I was fighting this. I was telling people like, yo, this is dangerous.
Yeah.
This, by the way, this is dangerous. More than dangerous. It's beyond dangerous. It is a destroyer. It is a destroyer of worlds, a destroyer of happiness, a destroyer of contentness, a destroyer of, it is a promoter of the grass is greener. It is a promoter of disinformation. And all of this ideation behind the truth is on the internet. Social media is promoting the truth. If you're able to go and find the fucking truth, actually find the truth right now, you're working your ass off to find that truth.
Yeah, no,
it is not
lost,
in your face.
It's lost in a sea.
All of the people that claimed, as I said earlier, to be the saviors, the people that were going to save us from the mainstream media and their lies, are the new mainstream media. The people that replace them are now the pundits who are getting the payments from the brands to promote fucking lies. It is the same corporate ownership structure that existed with CNN and Fox News. It is just now democratized for individual personalities. Yeah. End of fucking story. So the idea that there's some insane overload of truthhood that exists on the internet is fucking stupid. It's not true, unless you're looking for it deeply and deeply researching your evidence. That's it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yelling.
That's why I was talking about like the SJWs, or people that made SJW compilations in the past have become like the same hysterical people that are constantly losing their fucking minds at like one trans person getting a fucking Bud Light beer ad for an Instagram story, and then like that drives discourse for like 8 weeks, and people are making rap songs about how, like, I called it getting one can, like getting one guide, but instead you just got one can. Like there was one, Dylan Mulvaney's face appeared on one singular Bud Light can, and that caused so much chaos. Why? Because people are, one, bored, two, looking for reasons to be mad at shit, because there is a lot of like unrealized anger festering, and that part is actually understandable. This is what I try to explain to people all the time, is that you have a right to be angry, and you are understandably upset. If you're working a shitty fucking job where your boss is ass fucking you all day every day, and you have no future prospects, right? Like it seems like you'll never own a home. The American dream that was promised to your parents is never going to happen for you. That and the constant like fear of going into debt, or the realization that like if you lose that job that you took on, not because you love it or are passionate about it, but because you need to pay your fucking student loan debt, right? You took that job on. If you lose that job, your healthcare is tied to it, so you now lost your healthcare. So one accident could cause you, could put you in complete financial ruin. That has real psychological harm. That is a real impact in the collective consciousness of everyone experiencing it.
And by the way, you're also describing the lucky ones. Those people are the blessed ones.
Yeah.
The people with a job, with you know, a student debt to pay. We have to pay student debt. There's people veterans living under the bridge right now with their sick dog, trying to find a way to get their thoughts in order because they can't find resources to actually get themselves better. They're addicted to drugs like I was. They are addicted to, there are so many lost and forgotten souls in this country that to talk about the people that are suffering under the rule of a boss in a corporate setting, those are just the lucky ones. And they're still have every right to be stressed out. But all I'm saying, and by the way, to go back to a topic that you describe over, you know, or talk about more than anybody, when you ask me how I'm doing, or if someone asks me how I'm doing, it almost to a point nowadays it becomes irresponsible for me to ever say I'm having a bad day. Look around us. Look at what is going on in Gaza. Look at what is going on some of the streets in our own country. And so, oh my God, dude.
You know, you're absolutely correct. And what I was trying to say is that resentment and that anger and that animosity creates an environment of volatility, and you are desperately looking for what I call an exit ramp or a pressure valve.
Sure.
And that pressure valve is directed by the very same independent voices that are still being paid by the very same corporations, the fucking millionaires and billionaires.
They just switch their spending.
Focus to focus your anger and resentment on oftentimes the most marginalized people that don't have a fucking voice, like the undocumented migrant crossing the fucking border.
How
or the homeless,
how villainized have they become?
Yeah,
like,
or the
oh
homeless,
my God.
or the homeless person, like the homeless veteran, or just any homeless person at all, or the addict, and people love like looking for that release. This was ironic because like I was just watching Jinxie talk about this with the Nelk boys, which is like probably not the surprisingly a clear conversation here.
I brought you up on a Jinxie podcast too that's coming out next week. By the way, we had the Jinxie podcast before Full Send. I just want to say this right now on this show. We had the Jinxie podcast before Full Send. Out of respect to Full Send and to Jinxie, we bagged that episode.
No,
we let Full Send. Full Send put it. No, Full Send put it out first, which is fine. And you can't nuance. I know these guys, whatever. You guys have your thing. I'm not going to get into it. But we do have a Jinxie podcast that's coming out. And I mentioned you on the show. And I said, that's my guy. Hasan's my guy. He gets a lot of smoke. And fucking streaming is harder than construction work.
So, no.
We did talk about it. We did.
He's actually talking about that here. With the Full Send boys, where they like agree with me. Everyone fucking yelled at me on Twitter over that.
I know, I saw it.
Because it was like, it was literally me being like, I worked in sales, and in sales, you have like an opportunity to breathe. You're not constantly like client facing. So as far as like my social battery, it runs out way worse after 9 hours of streaming because I'm constantly on. I'm constantly trying to do people pleasing. And the only like real adult, like actual real job that I could compare it to is like service sector stuff and like customer facing work, like, you know, being in a call center. And I also said at the time, not to relitigate this over and over again, but at the time I basically, in that clip that is, of course, deliberately cut out of context to make it seem like I'm saying like it's a much harder job to be a fucking streamer. No, I don't believe that. There are different aspects of every work that is uniquely difficult in different ways.
Your chat does not want to hear this at all.
No, because they know that they always.
Somebody just said I'm in purgatory.
Yeah, no, they know that this like brings about like the worst, most fucking toxic weirdos.
For sure.
The very same weirdos that like very deliberately clipped it out of context and immediately like Keemstar was tweeting about it, blah 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 blah, right? Like, and it became this like massive piece in the discourse for like a week, and still people are still talking about it, right?
But when podcast context is added to it, the statement that you made and when the full context is viewed makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Being always on for a stream or for podcasting or whatever it is, definitely socially and mentally could be for certain people. Like, first of all, how the fuck are you going to argue personal sentiment? You're making a statement for yourself.
Well,
being someone that has worked in both positions and saying, for me,
yeah,
this is what is harder for me.
Yeah.
When you you cannot remove the context of someone saying, this is how I feel about something. Guess what? As soon as you say, this is how I feel, it's an inarguable topic. You can argue the substance of it, but you can't argue that this is how the person feels. That's just
but the difference is because it's just like there's a financial imperative there. It's infinitely better to like rob it of its context and then shove an underlying narrative to, especially someone like myself. Like I work directly with labor organizers and you know, fund strike funds and like work with them directly. This is like my advocacy for the most part revolves around labor organizing.
Right.
So my entire point always is to improve workplace conditions for everyone so they can also have some free time and pursue a life of dignity and find dignity in their work as well. Find some level of fulfillment, find some level of autonomy in their adult lives, where we spend 80% of our adult lives working for someone else in the most normal circumstances. The point is, you don't want to talk about that, so you just try to discredit me personally by being like, well, he claims to fucking care about this shit, but look at him, he's so spoiled and selfish and bratty. Why did I bring this up though? Because there is a financial imperative. There's a reason why people do it. People make videos about it without actually looking at the context, without actually looking at the nuance, rob it of its nuances, and actually advocate in the exact opposite direction of my own personal beliefs. That's what frustrates me to no end. I mean, here, these guys, like, you know, I normally don't bring these guys up at all, but like, I mean, this is one great example of like people who have ideologically positioned themselves against me, I guess, and everything I believe in. Streaming is more draining than regular jobs. Millionaire Hasan and Asmongold complain. 600,000 views. Update, they respond. 700,000 views. Like, there's obviously like an audience that's looking for it, right? And you just kind of feed into it as a content creator deliberately.
Hate farming, dirty laundry pays the bills,
Yeah.
and 100%. And look it.
Like, no disrespect to those guys. We have disagreements, right? Like, we have disagreements on issues, but ultimately it is just knowing full well that there is more nuance to the subject matter. You're doing it specifically because you want to make, like, what would 700,000 views get you in AdSense? I have no idea.
On YouTube?
Yeah. Like a cool 5K spot?
No, on a podcast, on a longer format podcast, yeah, maybe between 5 and 10K, depending. But I would assume that their channel is probably not. I don't know. I don't know what they talk about. Are they like super absurd? I don't know who those guys are. Are they super absurd? Are they like fresh and fit? Like, is it like, yo, you're a 5 and you're a whore?
They're not. They're not.
They're not. Okay.
They're more. They, I would say, are. I think, as far as I understand, they are like a more reasonable. They shit on fresh and fit. They're nowhere near as bad, but they have some.
Well, check them out.
They have some underlying like right-wing opinions, but they are very good at like, and some left-wing opinions as well. But they're very good at like centering themselves in the conversation. A lot of people do this thing where they will talk about issues devoid of their like own personal biases or own personal ideologies, because it's very good for people like you. You want to listen to someone who presents themselves as objective and neutral. Many people just want that. So I think like
I wake up every day and I listen to or not every day, but I listen to The Daily on like I like listening to, like, if I could watch any do unbiased news organizations still exist? Is AP still considered? Is AP considered to be? Considered to be an unbiased?
I am a believer that there's no such thing as like being unbiased, because like here, this is an MLK quote that I point to regularly. Neutrality in the face of injustice is siding with the oppressor. So if you are a neutral party, a neutral observer and
No one's-
claiming that there's neutrality, like.
No, but no one's asking, no one's talking about, you're talking about neutrality as it pertains to the abstinence or omission of facts, right? Like, I'm not, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about neutrality as it exists in a way of presenting those facts without a biased viewpoint on said facts, right? So like now here, this is the perfect transition for this. The reason why we're having the conversation that we're having today is because you now are having conversations that exist with the full omission of facts. Facts, proof, and evidence is no longer a prerequisite for conversation. The reason why I have been so deeply ingrained into the conspiracy theory conversation over the past 2 weeks has been because of an influencer fighter by the name of Ryan Garcia. It has been a topic of discussion over the past 2 weeks, and to be completely honest with you, Ryan Garcia, in my eyes, is not the subject of the conversation. It is, in my opinion, the audience response to what Ryan Garcia has been saying. Yeah. That is the real point of discussion here. How scaled that response was worrisome for me, and that is why I got so involved with it.
I think that is a byproduct of like Elon Musk take over Twitter, though. I think,
but
like,
it was not just on X.
No,
it was not.
No, I know. It's the same exact motivations that I just showed you with like why you would take a clip out of context, knowing full well that it's most likely clipped out of context, and like run with it and present a narrative. It's because people do have a vested interest in like click farming and hate farming, or sometimes, you know, leaning on conspiracy theories, no matter how nonsensical they may appear at face value, because they know there's an audience for it.
Right.
It's exciting. It is, it's basically like clickbait. But on steroids, clickbait that does have a damaging impact on discourse and the public, like collective consciousness
and people's lives. And by the way, I am always excited, willing, and excited to come on shows that I consider to be skewing slightly in a certain direction. As much as you are considered to be liberal, social, whatever you want to call it, right? I believe that in the face of a debate, when presented with factoids, you are willing to be malleable and shiftable in your opinions on certain things.
Yeah.
I would hope. And
you sometimes
will not
I get things wrong, and I admit that, and will literally openly even apologize for it, for getting something wrong as well. This is something that like a lot of people forget, which, by the way, you get punished for. So I'm not even fucking doing that when I do that for some kind of like saving of face. I'm doing that specifically because I think it's the right thing to do.
I don't know, and also maybe I just feel like because there's someone on the conservative side that I go and have conversations with all the time too, by the name of Patrick Bet David.
I love Patrick Bet David.
Thank you. And
we love Patrick Bet David.
No, you don't actually.
Yes, we do.
No, you don't.
Are you not value-tained?
No, you're a fucking liar. Dude.
Are you not value-tained?
I literally fell into. Please, I fell into your trap. You just fucking screwed me, bro, because I didn't know where you were on this topic.
What?
No, listen to me.
No, I am value-tained every day.
Stop it.
Of my life.
Stop it. I talked to Patrick.
I want to go on his podcast.
You can go on his podcast. I can't speak for him. I don't know if you can go on his fucking podcast.
He definitely would.
The only issue is you have to fly to Fort Lauderdale.
No, I know. That's a problem.
Okay, can I please say this?
That's not the only issue. The only issue is not that. Then I would have to be surrounded by
Patrick Bet David. I will speak for him specifically. Don't go there. Is a smart man, and he does his research, and he is well spoken. I'm not saying that you're going to agree with all of his topics, and I'm also not saying that he does not miss on certain topics. You miss on certain topics. But who's the decider? Who's the decider?
I'm the decider.
So, okay. So you viewing PBD from this side is going to look very different than how I view PBD from a more centrist position.
No.
Let's be honest.
I know PBD is great at like value-taining people that are like that are devoid of like any sort of like theoretical underpinning in the way that they view the world, right?
Oh, can we get a specific topic?
Okay, dude.
But not like a.
But I'm not kidding when I say I love him. This is not a joke. He reminds me of my uncle. He's like Bizarro Jank. So no, I love him. Yeah, he's the best.
Why don't you just go? Why don't you do a show?
I'm gonna do it. I just like. Yeah, you're right. Flying to Fort Lauderdale kind of sucks. But then also, I'm going to sit there in between like three 45-year-old guys wearing the tightest suits.
Well, they have their own internal drama on the show.
Oh,
they have a centrist leaning co-host that the audience, who obviously his audience is like pretty much like MAGA ultra conservative, hates. Like they do not like this guy. I'm drawing a blank on the exact layout.
I love him,
but fuck, which is so unfair.
Dude, I love him.
But then wait, yo, PBD has the perfect build out for the conservative narrative. He's got a centrist, not a centrist at all, a right leaning centrist that roots the conversation somewhat in a devil's advocate, situation, and then he has a full on National Enquirer author to his left side.
Wait,
that really does believe Michelle Obama's a man. Can someone fill me in on the names really quick? I'm so sorry.
Hold on. Let's look it up. Let's look them up, and then you can tell me who the guys are.
Yeah.
Wait, fuck, dude, I love him. I put my friends on him. Like we all watch his shit.
I can't take you, bro.
It's not a joke. I'm not like. The thing is, a lot of people think that I'm like this guy who is like, oh, don't watch him. Like, if you disagree with him, like, no, I derive entertainment value out of everything, especially someone like Patrick, who is genuinely incredibly fun to watch. Like, can you do a poll in your chat? Is this the guy? Is this the right wing guy?
No, that's a guest.
Yeah, he just looks like an accountant.
Okay.
Is this the center left guy?
Bro, yes.
It's so funny because he's literally talking to Amazon delivery.
They're all right. Fuck, dude. I'm so annoyed right now, dude. I need to get this dude's.
Wait, hold on.
Because I'm botching the names, bro, and that's so disrespectful. I thank you. Okay, Adam leans slightly more towards the middle. It seems like on a lot of topics. He presents a devil's advocate to Patrick. I don't care what you say. Patrick is a well-researched, well-spoken host. Does he fall into the trap of some conspiratorial shit? Maybe.
Yeah.
He's
the best.
He strongly believes that Hillary Clinton has a defined hit squad.
Fine. See, I won't even disagree with him on it. How about that?
Actually, are you there or no?
I'm not there.
Okay, so maybe he's not such a bad guy. Okay,
I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's fucking hilarious.
Okay, and then Vincent holds down for the far right. Like he holds down the hardcore.
I remember Vincent.
MAGA.
Yeah.
Like he says some great. But by the way, all three of them are. I loved sitting with them. I had a great conversation with them. I called Patrick on the phone. Talk to him when I run into situations like this Ryan Garcia thing. I called Patrick. I talked to him on the phone about it.
Their analysis of the Ryan Garcia situation was so awesome.
Well, okay, sorry, fill me in.
Because we watched it, because at the time I was like, what the fuck's going on with this Ryan Garcia shit? Like he's obviously having like a mental health episode, right? And he was like, you have this, like I love pulling myself out of it or looking at it from the outside because like I don't know these guys, right? Having and
remember that you don't know them. That's that's an important part of the conversation.
Having like 4 50-year-old guys in like skin tight suits sitting there and being like, sitting there.
Corporate. He has Patrick has a large conglomerate.
Yeah, sitting there and being like, so it seems like this is exactly like when you're in high school and a girl wants to fuck you, and then you say. You don't want to fuck her, and then people say,
"Why is he Arnold Schwarzenegger? Dude, why is he Arnold Schwarzenegger? Yeah. That's not correct."
I'm trying to do his voice. I can't do his voice,
dude. Patrick has a great backstory. Patrick has a great backstory. He doesn't come from money. He worked hard to get where he is.
He was in the army. He was in the army. All he cared about was fucking bitches and also drinking shitty beer on the weekends.
Now that's like. I don't even know what accent that is.
Is Iranian?
Armenian,
I'm doing
bro.
Well, first of all, he's like he's a Assyrian.
Assyrian. Sorry, not Armenian.
Yeah, he's Assyrian from Iran. I know him better than you. Don't come at me on my fucking Patrick Bet David. I am literally
y'all
a PBD's head, dog.
I hope when next time I'm on his show, he's gonna present all this to me, and I'm gonna have to list my experiences.
You have to be careful here. You have to be careful here.
So if you like this clip and you want to,
dude, I love Patrick Bet David. Ukraine. Candace Owens explains why America should not support Ukraine. What? Our president. He's so good.
Bro.
When he just straight up, but I think he's Assyrian and Armenian, by the way, but from Iran. One of his parents is a Mossadegh supporter. His other parent, either his father or mother, I don't know which is which, is a supporter of the Shah. So he grew up in an environment where they were always talking politics. Okay, let me tell you something, dude. I know his backstory. Okay,
you seem to be more value-tained than anybody.
So
no, this is my favorite clip. If there is someone,
I know, I saw this.
If there is someone,
I saw this.
Like when I saw this, I fell in love with this man.
No, it reminds me of that clip of the guy.
Why are you gay?
Yeah, why are you gay?
Yeah,
You are gay.
I'm a fanboy.
To choose which of the two things to put in school, and you have.
He's so serious, dude. He's as serious as a heart attack when he goes, "Are you gay?" And he's like objectively wrong here, right? Like you don't fucking learn being a homosexual. Like that's not how that works. And there's enough evidence to suggest that that's not how that works. But he is so honest in the way that he legitimately believes that shit. And I respect it. As opposed to like, there's a guy who's running for Senate in Ohio against Sherrod Brown, the MAGA Republican who's like slated to maybe even unseat Sherrod Brown, the Democrat in Ohio, who is gay, like is a closeted gay man, and he recently got outed. He recently got outed because he used to be pro-gay back in the day, like super pro-gay back in the day, when he was a used car salesman, who then, when now he's like a MAGA Republican running for office, is very much like anti-gay, right? He's a grifter. Right. And he like literally just, I think today or yesterday, got outed as like being on Adult Friend Finder, like looking for cock, right? All the way back in 2018 or no, 2008. So his name is Bernie Moreno. Exactly. So there are guys like that who see how things are going in the conservative ethos and lean into it, right? And like present a false narrative and are like super, oh my God, I had not even seen what he looked like until this very moment. Trump-backed Senate candidate faces GOP worries that he could be linked to adult website profile. So,
what does Trump's team do about something like that? Do they just disavow? Because now that he's gay, is he disavowed?
They try to bury it basically, but yeah,
Bury
2008
it or him.
No, not like they won't kill him. Like they'll try to bury the
only
story.
Hillary Clinton would do something like that.
They'll try to bury the story. My point is, he went, like he went on a full right wing heel turn and was like, I'm anti-LGBT, despite the fact that there is like very open instances all the way up until like 2016 or something, before he like entered politics in the Trumpian era, where he is openly pro-LGBTQ. How did he have a turn of heart?
Maybe he just hates himself.
Well, that is one of the things,
bro,
right?
Bro, that is the bedrock of this conversation. That is the bedrock of all of these people that are hoisted up over other people's shoulders in today's day and age. Generally speaking, they're fucking miserable, bro. All of these people are, and by the way, like, I feel like sometimes misery is such a driver of this hatred. Like, if you really trace it back, all of these people are just angry. Yeah. They're just angry. They're miserable people.
Yeah, but I think this is, guys, like, the reason why I'm using him is because, like, it's a better example of just, like, someone who's deliberately restructuring their entire output so that they can, like, gain prominence in a specific area. This is not a value that they genuinely believe, because if he was a self-hating, in-the-closet gay man, he wouldn't have had a heel turn in 2016 when he started running as like a MAGA Republican. He would have never had like many instances throughout his life where he is openly putting himself out there and arguing on behalf of gay people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the Candace Owens difference as well.
Can you pull her up? Speaking of which, Candace Owens was fucking ringside with PBD at Sugar Sean
Oh, of course. That
They were
UFC
locking
is
down
all
that whole section. Was
UFC
crazy.
is all like there's so many right wingers like this fucking ape.
Don't you fucking
this
dare.
fucking
Nah.
No, I love Bradley. Are you kidding
Nah,
me?
dude, you're not just gonna say you fucking love people to switch it. You can't switch it.
No.
Oh, you actually do.
No, I do.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
okay,
I
okay.
talk to him all the time.
Oh, you scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, no.
Because I was, dude, Bradley's my guy. Dude.
No,
Bradley's a nice guy,
He
dude.
sat right
Oh,
there many times.
Okay,
What the
you scared
fuck?
me. You scared me because when you say you love people, like you say you love me sometimes, and now I don't know what to believe.
Are you not value-tained? I love Bradley in the same way that I love you, not like fucking Patrick Bet-David, who I enjoy as like an entertaining figure.
Value-tained.
But yeah, as a value-tainting figure, it's definitely different than that.
Okay.
No,
Bradley had great seats. I was in the bleeds, bro. I was in the nosebleeds, dude.
Yeah, fucking Sean cooked you guys. Yeah. So anyway, no. Wait, what the fuck? Why was I bringing up Bradley? I just as a meme, I was bringing him up.
I want to go back to Candace because I think that could be our first conspiracy. Like, let's dive into this. Is the Prime Minister Macron's wife a man?
Hey, there you go.
Oh, there he actually is.
We interviewed him. This was a wonderful interview about his like body dysmorphia and stuff like that. But yeah, when are you gonna get to a UFC event ringside, bro? I can't because I'm fucking too woke and too gay and too.
You'll have to sit with me in the bleachers.
Yeah,
you'll be outside in the ceiling with me.
That's why you're in the bleachers, bro. You fucking said shit about like, but Ryan Garcia maybe not actually finding the truth about like pedophilic elite. See, the problem with that.
All right, are we going?
We can talk about Ryan in a
Let's
second.
start with it. Let's start with it.
The problem with that.
Are you gonna give any context?
Yes.
I'm sure they're aware, but over the past 2 weeks, Ryan Garcia, a actual boxer and influencer, by way of the number of people that he reaches, has made a number of very, very high profile and shocking claims about things that he has seen and information about the elites that he has access to.
Yeah. Some of which is true, by the way.
Not for him, but some of the stuff. Well, sorry,
he didn't see it personally. But some of the things
by
he's
the way,
saying.
and by the way, like, do we feel comfortable, me, you, and chat right now, to go forward the rest of the episode and say that Ryan Garcia was not at Bohemian Grove. He does not know who murdered Tupac. He was not brought into a blood oath at the Vatican. Are we comfortable saying that? Like, should we say?
I don't believe that they tied him down and made him forcibly watch CSAM, or CP, in the way that he claimed.
Right.
So
at Bohemian Grove, at Bohemian
Grove. So you're saying maybe somewhere else, like at a Burger King.
I don't know because I don't know if he has dealt with trauma like that in his life. I don't know that, but the place I have been at since day one. By the way, the same Ryan Garcia that came on our show has been a flat earther for years, has been very susceptible to those type of theories.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw this start happening, just after this Tank loss and pre this Devin Haney fight, it was so apparent to me immediately that there was a breakdown in progress, either a breakdown or a ploy to sell the fight. So I immediately said, you know what? The reason I don't like this is going to be another incendiary rocket-fueled device for this community to latch onto and say, okay, we've got another one. Yeah. Okay, we've got another proponent for this absolute fucking bullshit. Now, to your point, Bohemian Grove, does it exist?
Bohemian Grove,
it does.
It does, but it's not. But it's not what conservatives make it out to be.
How about this? There is no proof that it is what conservatives make it out to be. There's not even any reason to believe.
No. We know what it is. Richard Nixon, very famous wiretapper who wiretapped himself all the time, talked about what it actually was in very clear terms. And it's kind of funny to think about with today's eyes, but he is right. That is exactly what Bohemian Grove is. It's
Can
like
we
a country.
say what he called it?
No,
the exact word.
We can't say it, but he said it's a country club for old men to do gay shit, basically.
Right.
Which he's right. It's a boys club for like elites, both from the liberal side and the conservative Republican side.
Oh,
to go
don't say that. You're gonna scare a whole bunch of people who think it's all one side, bro.
Yeah, no, but like that's what it is. It's just like celebrities and artists and like elderly statesmen that go there and do some gay shit, right? And it still exists to this day. I've literally I know people that have worked there as like
Really?
Yeah, I've known people that have worked there that became journalists afterwards, but like worked there as waiters at the time. It's so funny that like people think that our elites have to like do weird like blood oath rituals at some fucking country club and aren't openly discussing your demise in broad daylight at fucking Davos. Like literally being like, okay, well, we need to kill 10% of poor people instead of 15% this year because the poors are getting out of control. You know, like they openly say it.
They're not doing it on a camping trip.
Yeah,
Boys
they're not.
camp.
They don't have to do it with like weird blood rituals.
Well, on the blood ritual side, they have a very infamous play there called the cremation of care, which is a strange, dark, weird ritualistic play that they do there that is very similar to plays that you can see on Broadway or movies like Midsummer or anything that's in that type of fictional realm. Now, them doing that play has acted as the only evidence that these conspiracy theorists need to prove that this type of stuff is going on.
They act like it's a real baby too, like which is insane. Like that's anyway.
Well, no, but you can't. But I know. So okay. So what you just did with the anyway, that is the direction we can take. We can take that direction. We can say, yo, you know what? These people are fucking crazy. Like, let's be honest. And they hate when you say that. They hate when you say it. They're like, oh, you're just gonna try to discredit me by calling me crazy. Yeah, that's what I am gonna do.
Because
you're acting in fucking sane. The shit you are saying is insane.
Yeah. Normally, that guy in the previous iterations of that guy existed atop of a fucking soapbox at the metro station, and you could smell that guy and you could visualize what that guy looked like, and you could tell that that guy was not mentally all there, and you could avoid listening to what he has to say and treat it with anything but like background noise, right?
Right.
But now on the internet, there are millions of that guy, and also they all have blue check marks, and all of the other nuances that would allow you to suss out who this person is that you're talking to is now completely gone because everyone can present themselves as like a reasonable orator online. And especially when there's like thousands of other versions of that guy liking that guy, validating what he's saying.
Groupthink.
You all of a sudden go, maybe that guy's saying some real shit. What's going on?
And like, by the way, there's a bunch of reinforcing factors at play. One of them is, the government is lying. The government is so that level of distrust is a meaningful piece of the puzzle, right? That needs to be considered, right?
Yes.
There is sex trafficking going on.
Yes.
There is predatory behavior going on.
Yes.
By very rich, powerful people. But guess what? It's also being done by soccer coaches in Alabama. It's also being done like you know what I'm saying? It's also being done by HVAC workers.
Yeah.
This idea that there's this villainized ultra elite and there's the only people that are powerfully preying on people and getting away with it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's insane. And then another reinforcing factor that has been used and that Ryan used very powerfully
Catholic
is
Church.
Religion. He bookended every one of his statements with, "We do this for Jesus."
Oh,
As soon as you bring that into the conversation, he would bring forward a conspiracy. He would then cite a Bible verse.
Kanye did that too.
As soon as you do that, it would be illegitimate for a Christian to then argue your point because it's rooted in a Bible verse. So if it's rooted in a Bible verse, then everything that prefaced it needs to be true as well. So that was his game plan for the past 2 weeks, and he was called out by Wade Plem, who's a boxing commentator and person on the internet personality, and said, "Dude, what you are doing by bookending this in Christianity is such a disservice to the Christian religion, to all the Christians out there, and to anyone who's religious. It just has been a really weird week just watching it all go down, and I got really tied into it by way of Twitter Spaces and trying because listen,
that plays a big role too. By the way, like times of uncertainty that genuinely shift people's attitudes or genuinely impact people's lives in very meaningful ways that the government refuses to give clear-cut definitional answers on, like 9/11, JFK assassination.
For sure.
Things that we will never know what the full truth of the matter was.
Aliens?
Well, I don't, that's a much more convoluted theory, but Like those are instances, even COVID, like lockdowns during COVID, I think like created a sense of isolation and despair that people wanted answers for. So when you don't have a firmly rooted in facts based analysis on that, you are infinitely more susceptible to holistic,
Distrust.
spiritual, perfectly tied together arguments. Like it's not, I'm not using the word materialist analysis because I don't think it's it is a good argumentation here, like to use that word. It's just that the world is certainly run by rich people.
For sure.
But the reality of the matter is that they are motivated by self-interest. They're motivated by wanting to make more money, right? But a lot of people recognize that, but can't put that into like certain terms. So they go, there has to be additional motivations there. Maybe they just want to control us. For what reason? I don't know. Just because they're evil. Like people want good and evil to be a perfectly bow-wrapped argument. And when you do that, when you seek out evil as the center of why people do the things that they do, and you don't look for like additional rationale behind the motivations that people have, which ultimately always revolve around making more money, right?
Hey, you're talking about nuance right now. You're scaring, you're blowing people's minds right now.
This is something I talk about all the time.
Rich, evil. The nuance, bro, you're not going to, unless one of those ultra rich is willing to parrot one of those points, because that's how you go from the fact that, you know, Bill Gates is the most evil person on the planet, but Mark Zuckerberg as well, but Elon Musk is the savior. The savior sent down from the gods.
For me, I have a much better understanding of the situation, I think, because I think all of them are evil, okay? In many different ways. Do you believe there
has to be some level of evil to be involved in becoming a billionaire?
I think that you have to be kind of bad enough to refuse to reckon with the steps that it took for you to get to that position. Because I think that like the existence of billionaires, from where I'm standing, the way I understand the world and how it should operate, the existence of billionaires is a policy failure akin to the existence of a single homeless person. Homeless people are homeless due to policy failures because we did not take the necessary steps to help these people, to save these people.
Policy failures based on a different societal construct than the one that we exist in, because in a capitalistic society, it's a proof point for success versus failure. Do you know what I'm saying?
But also because like it's I mean, you can look to examples even in other capitalist nations as to how they've solved this issue, like Helsinki comes to mind, or Vienna, Vienna comes to mind, like places that they've like basically dealt with this issue despite being capitalist, dealt with this issue by creating a housing first policy where the first step in recovery is to ensure that you have permanent shelter, right? Like you are eliminating one of the major reasons as to why people find themselves in the throes of deep drug addiction to begin with, right? Because you're self-medicating, because you don't have
you're hopeless.
Yeah, you're hopeless. You don't have shelter. Like this is something that fucking animals need. You know what I mean? Like not just humans, but like a bear needs fucking shelter in the wild to brave the elements.
That people would be more willing to provide shelter for a stray dog than they would for a homeless person right now?
Yes, because I think that the prosperity gospel that many Americans deep down intrinsically believe dictates that poverty is a moral failure. A lot of people, I think, approach it, even if they don't say it in those terms. If you were to address that, if you were to like ask them directly, they'd be like, of course not. But they do believe it. Because that is like
I wonder what the percentage breakdown is. Because I
think a lot of people do see it as like a moral failing.
Like that. I was not raised like that. And I think a lot of the issues at the end of the day, a lot of the issues that we're seeing in this country and with everything we're seeing in this world right now is a parental failure. Parental failure is a not talked about enough topic in this world. I was not raised like that. If I see someone freezing to death on the side of the road in fucking January, my thought is not, wow, this person just didn't do well enough. Honey, get a look at this fucking asshole.
No. That's not the modus operandi of like the average person who also will implement or advocate for policies that fucking kill homeless people anyway, though. They also don't think about it like on those terms. They don't go, fuck these people.
No, not fuck these people, but that there was something that they didn't do that was a requirement for them to deserve shelter. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane to me. Like,
Yeah.
like if I see somebody like, here's the thing, dude. Go show someone like that and really gauge the reaction. That shit burns me. It fucking burns my heart and my soul to see people like that.
Yeah.
And to see the reaction of people that are on the flip side that don't have the empathetic build out that people like that I was fucking given by my parents, thank God, and that I should be thanking God for every day, disturbs me. And I don't know how you fix that. How do you fix that? How do you teach someone, yo, stop telling your fucking waiter to fuck off. Like, bring me my fucking water. I posted
it's systemic. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a systemic failure because of the way that we view capitalism as like the perfect fucking design structure, and there's no alternative to it whatsoever. Obviously, I'm biased in a different direction, but even beyond that, I think like most average people would recognize that there are genuine severe issues in the economic organization that we exist under. So what I was simply trying to say is that the media, for example, operates in a way where they also play the role of vilifying homeless people by constantly talking about like crime panic. Homeless people are doing crimes. They're all criminals. Crime. We have to deal with them through deterrence mechanisms and not by like seeing a lot of the many invisible homeless, as I like to call it, as a byproduct of like being priced out of the housing market, which is why they're homeless to begin with, but instead as like people who are just drug addicts, and that's also bad. If you're a drug addict, you're not sick. You
made a bad choice.
You made a bad choice. You personally made a bad choice. You should be punished for it.
Right.
And it's very draconian, and this is all a byproduct of like carefully manufactured narratives that we have pushed over and over again for a century. America, in many ways, was a proto-capitalist nation, pre-industrial revolution. Like America always was destined to be this like small business owner-backed capitalist country that treats the Constitution as his Bible. Like not even like a real Christian religion or anything like that, but one that is a capitalist religion with Constitution being its Bible. Because of all of that, because of centuries of like this kind of reinforcement mechanism, this kind of propaganda, people have developed, they've learned these positions and take it for granted as though it is like objectively the truth and even moral, right? They don't even think about it. And I think that's why a lot of people online, for example, turn around and think you're being actually fake and a grifter, or I'm being fake and a grifter when I say,
that all the time.
No, homeless people shouldn't fucking die. We should house them. Like when I say that, people are like, you could not have arrived at this position because of your own moral compass, because it's impossible for me to see it that way. So you are probably grifting.
But you have to slightly feel for that position as well. You know what I'm saying? Not feel, not be sympathetic for them, but be empathetic. I will tell you, I have been around over my years on this planet some people that think about life very differently than the way I think about life. And I am horrified by that. And deep down, horrified by the way people treat other people on this planet. It is disturbing. Dude, do you know, if maybe this makes me soft, sensitive, fake, whatever. If I say something to someone that I believe, or do something to someone that I believe has had a negative impact on their day, even a 10% negative impact, I will think about that for the next 48 fucking hours. Why did I do that? Why the fuck did I? Like, bro, I didn't sleep last night because I flipped that fucking table over yesterday. I didn't sleep last night because I was like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Now Jeff is Jeff is impacted and Ryan's impacted and all this stuff. Maybe that's a character flaw of mine, but I like to put other people first.
No, but
I like to consider other people's feelings when I consider my own pursuits in life.
That comes from your own personal lived experiences of like being in the literal depths of society, like being 100%. In the worst rung of society. That's where that came from, and a lot of people don't have those experiences. And I mean, it's kind of a good thing that a lot of people don't.
I don't know if it is. Maybe you show people what it's like to be hopeless, to have nothing, to wait in 26-degree weather in the line for a methadone clinic because you're fucking sick to your stomach. You're throwing up all over yourself. Your family has written you off. You have felony court cases stacked against you, and your life is hopeless. You have nowhere to go except for a friend's couch in a basement where there's drugs everywhere. There's guns. There's violence. That is a very sad and real truth for a lot of people in this country. And by the way, God bless all the people that make it out of that place in life, because I guarantee you, or I bet you at least, they have the same empathy that I have for others in that position. Because without going through that shit, you will never understand what it is like to have no hope, to have no feeling that things are ever going to get better in this life for you, and to fucking give up, or to almost give up. And God, literally, God bless those people. I would never trade that fucking experience for my life, ever.
Yeah, well, what I was trying to say is, like, you are the person that you are because of those experiences, and many people that still have like grievances that we mentioned, like even the fortunate people that have grievances still have a lot of underlying resentment and anger. And when there's no real answers to that, because God knows, like, liberal media is not offering them why this shit sucks, because they are beholden to the same corporate masters that everyone else is beholden to. So their job is to basically say, no, you don't understand. Like, no, inflation is going down. Like, there is a soft landing. Shut the fuck up. Like, you know, I don't care about your financial struggles. And again, fortunate people are experiencing that, right? It makes people go crazy. They're like, well, what the fuck? These guys are lying to me. Right. Why would I ever trust them ever again? And I don't think those in positions of power understand the impact that is having in the public consciousness. Like, because if your own personal experiences is not matching what, like, these organs, these supposedly unbiased organs of truth are telling you how you should feel, right, then you're going to be like, well, what the fuck? Fuck this. I'm going to go find someone who actually does present themselves as personable, who actually does present themselves as likable, who's going to agree with some of my biases, and then maybe reinforce those biases. And that's how you arrive at, like,
that's what we're
this
seeing.
Independent media cycle of just, like, constantly presenting yourself. Like, I know so many of these motherfuckers at Fox News that got vaccinated, but and so many of these motherfuckers in independent media, in right-wing broadcasting, that got vaccinated while still simultaneously pushing the narrative that, like, vaccines will kill you,
and pushing the narrative that you, Hasan, or me, sold your soul. Yeah, you're a faker. You're a grifter. This desire to take down other people who have an empathetic viewpoint or a centrist viewpoint, to pedestal these people who have fucking actually sold their souls. Yeah, literally sold it. The people that are saying other people sold their souls, that's projection. That 100%. Is projection,
yeah,
bro.
No, it's reactionary.
They are the ones that have sold their souls more than anybody. If you are further dividing this country and this world by utilizing non-fact-based evidence to provide a one-sided argument to divide and drive hatred on one side and further cause problems, you have sold your soul. It's not the people that are asking, hey, what can I take from your side? What can I see from your side?
But the problem is, like, they'll say that about you and myself too, though. That's the problem. Like, people will say, well, you're doing that. You're fucking being divisive. I think there's also an additional thing that we have to talk about here, which is that, like, that's why I'm very radically honest about my biases, right? Like, I will openly tell you, like, this is what I believe. This is what I think is right.
What is one of those?
I mean, give me any issue and I will tell you.
Well, I mean, I listened to the conversation on Gaza. I have been one of the
what?
I have not spoken out at length about the situation in Gaza. nor do I have the platform. You know, I have a followership. Do I have a long form platform that lends itself to that conversation? Is that an excuse? Maybe, right? But have I spoken at length about it? No, I haven't. And you know, I've seen you talk about it. It's a very important conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah.
And I also feel like there is got to be some level of nuance there. Like, okay, for example, let me ask you this question. What was the proper reaction to October 7th?
I think, well, the way I reacted to it, I think, is the proper way to react to it, which is to acknowledge that the atrocities at hand were a direct consequence of do you know what an apartheid is?
Yeah,
like apartheid South Africa?
Yeah. Apartheid.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, a direct consequence of the Israeli apartheid regime upon millions of Palestinians, which features death, displacement, and destruction for them for 75 years. Like, my position was that, like, a resistance to that or reaction to that is always going to be imperfect, and it's always going to be very violent, because the standard of that violence is set by the occupation, by the occupying entity. This does not mean that I believe that, like, everyone in Israel deserves to die, or even those the civilians were deserving of the death that they experienced. Of course not. But yet, if you want to avoid conflict of similar proportions in the future, like, you have to put an end to the much larger, much more consequential death and destruction that the Israeli state has brought upon the Palestinian population.
Isn't it crazy that there actually is, like, a rule book for this stuff? Like, how wild is that? Like, that's like almost like definitive enough of the place we're at as a world, and have been for a couple hundred years now. Yeah. Like, that there is a Geneva Convention driven rule book as to what is a adequate or acceptable loss of life in a civilian population as a result of a military tactic. So basically, Israel has been able to some extent justify their actions by way of presenting a tactical military operation or tactical military goal, and presenting the loss of life attached to that as an acceptable loss of life based on Geneva Convention.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, they haven't, and that's why, like, there's now more people that are like, no, that's fucking unacceptable.
And it seems like the conversation is happening right now. Like, it seems like the wave of conversation is happening now, and it's in a good way, and people have realized that there's a lot of fucked up shit that attention needs to be paid to it. But, like, I'm just going back to how this conversation started and your stance on it. I was trying to draw some biased stances, but I think your stance on this one is probably the stance that pretty much everyone has at this point.
But it's still biased, and it's a stance that I've held from the beginning, for since 10 years. 100%. Like, this is something that I've been talking about, because, like, I understand that October 7 is not, like, when history started, but many people desperately try to make it seem like this was the first shot. The first shot was the Palestinians, when in fact, obviously, activists and Palestinian people in general, and those who pay attention to these sorts of things, knew that, for example, there was a Euromed report that came out on October 6th that correctly stated that 2023 was the deadliest year for Palestinian children. How did that happen? That was because of the daily maintenance of this apartheid. The apartheid state requires a tremendous amount of violence for its daily maintenance. You might not think about it, especially when we're in America. The media might not cover it, but that reality is constant for those people who are withstanding it, for those people who are experiencing it, for those people who are living under the illegal, by the way, international law dictates that Israel's occupation in the West Bank and parts of Jerusalem is illegal. Like, no one will argue against that, for the record. Israel will say, oh, we have to do it. But everybody understands that it is completely illegal. and it's not like a matter of opinion. It's just straight up illegal, and Israel has been doing it because America gives it permission to do it. And the thing is, like, there is the way that they've been able to get away with it is by deliberate lobbying efforts by AIPAC, and because Israel from its inception has been a very important military forward operating base for the American interest in the region. This is a resource-rich region, and we always wanted to ensure that we have some level of control over that region, a destabilizing factor in that region.
But we have FOB, you know,
it's a little bit different when
autonomous
it's a
from
state.
aside from Israel, right? Like, and another question I have is,
Yeah, but those bases come and go, and those bases are beholden to like
policy,
separate
embargo,
separate countries. Like Turkey is the closest you can arrive at that with respect to like being a NATO nation.
Saudi.
But Saudi Arabia is a client state, right? Like Saudi Arabia still can take actions that are against American interests, and sometimes they do.
By the way,
like 9/11.
By the way, I'm privy to this information. Like Hasan, you are much more well studied than me. I have a much broader scope than this topic, which obviously is the most important topic that we face currently, right? But the other issue that I've had is just from a human standpoint, I'm friends with people on both sides. As you know, I have very, very close, not just Jewish friends, Israeli friends. Like I'm friends with Israel. I actually am friends with people who have affected family members from October 7th. And so it has been what is both sides? You can't say that. Is that a thing? They keep saying both sides. Are not? Am I not supposed to say that?
No. It's a meme.
Okay.
They put the five head. They say like because centrism.
No, but like I know. Here I go again. But like my friend Todd, for example, is an Israeli. His parents are both Israeli, and it's just it. No matter how you want to cut it, it's just a fucked up situation. It's a fucked up situation that it needs attention. You don't just drop the ball and call it a fucked up situation. But let's be clear. There has been, as a result of it, and maybe you say rightly so, I don't know, but there has been an uptick in people that I love who are very fucking good people, good humans, who, by the way, probably disagree with the actions of Netanyahu and the Israeli government, getting hatred. You know what I'm saying? And having their lives impacted as a result of it. Now, is there any comparison between their struggles of having words thrown at them to what Gazans or Palestinians are going? Of course not. Yeah. Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just overall the whole fucking situation sucks. And especially as we sit here in the comforts of an occupying nation ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no.
You know what I'm saying?
saying?
Like we killed to take this land. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a really
So the question is this:
fucked up scenario.
The question is this: when we were killing to take this land, which side would you find yourself on? Is the real question. And I think a lot of people are like, no, I'd be on the side of the killers. Like that's the difference.
Wait. We'll say that one more time.
The question is, there have been moments throughout history that we look back at, and people fantasize about being on the right side.
The Holocaust has got to be number one. The Holocaust is number one. Like if I saw it happening, I would step in and I would make noise and I would, for sure.
And the reality of the matter is, many people are demonstrating that while they fancy themselves to be on the right side, while they fantasize about potentially being on the right side of history, they actually would not.
What can we do?
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna hold on. Back in a second. 1 second.
Okay. I'll just play with the dog.
Okay, play with the dog. Talking to people. I'm leaving you in the middle of this. But
no, it's fine. It's fine.
You want something to drink?
Yeah, I would take another water.
Just don't show it on camera. But there's one water underneath you. There's a water bottle underneath.
And what part of it aren't I showing? The label? Dude, this has to be my emoji, bro, forever. Like, dude, that's how I feel, bro. Like, I don't know. That's just how I feel sometimes. These are tough topics. I'm not saying that I understand you guys. I'm not saying that they're hard to interpret, and I don't want to be perceive to take a topic which is simply defined to an extent, like, yo, someone is doing something really terrible to someone else. Let's conflate the issue with a bunch of shit to try to like move on. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying, like, even introducing a little bit of nuance to it is offensive to people, and I understand that. I completely understand that. I guess the question is like, what do we do? You know what I'm saying? Like, have we not reached peak awareness that this situation is existing? Like, how do we get involved from a legislative standpoint? How do we get involved from an actual solving the problem standpoint, as opposed to just talking? Hasan did a great job of that. Hasan raised a ton of money for aid, right? And so, like, I don't know. I think the idea that like I would have the answer to that is crazy. I can, like, I'm just not. I'm not that guy, man. I'm not that guy, pal. You know?
Wait,
yeah,
so,
ceasefire for sure.
What's you can just grab it out?
What? No, I was in no rush. What's been the current latest on ceasefire? Where are we at right now?
I mean, there's a back and forth between Hamas officials and like the Qatari and Egyptian emissaries, like the envoys in between, with the Israeli government. But Benjamin Netanyahu has an interest in maintaining the genocidal like actions, specifically so that he can he's very unpopular in Israel right now. And also, even before October 7, he had a court case that was, that constantly was like being held up about corruption.
Okay.
So he's basically trying to, in a very self-interested way, trying to continue the bombings, because it is very popular. Bombings are very popular in Israel. I mean, there are studies on this
for sure,
but
indiscriminate bombings.
Well,
like
the bombing campaigns are all deliberate. They are not indiscriminate. It looks indiscriminate, but it's not indiscriminate. It's actually very deliberately bombing civilians. Like, this is not my assessment of the situation alone. I'm not just like coming to this conclusion by myself. I'm not even just coming to this conclusion by looking at the casualty numbers of it being 25,000 plus women and children in a sea of Palestinian civilians that have been killed. But there are different military doctrines that Israel has historically utilized. This is open public record. Yeah, the Hia doctrine is one of them, which is the Israeli military doctrine that like civilian targets are certainly in the realm of possibility when they are engaging with like any enemy combatants in an attempt to demoralize the entirety of the population that they're fighting
which
against.
Which obviously that's not an Israeli built tactic. That's a tactic is old. No, but I'm saying that's
well, you're not wrong.
Shock and awe is, you know what I'm saying? We call shock and awe for a reason.
That's a great take. You're actually right. The Dahia doctrine is actually first implemented, I believe, in North Korea. So it is a direct. This doctrine in and of itself is actually in direct violation of the Geneva Conventions, which we literally did implement after World War II, specifically because of the bombing of Dresden and the firebombing of Tokyo and all these like civilian dense areas, as a matter of fact. So we set these rules and we didn't actually follow them ever in any of like America's military history. But so this has been a long-standing military principle in Israel, right? This has always been a long-standing military principle. There's a little bit of back and forth, like, is this permissible? Is this not? But ultimately, it is something that they've been doing time and time again, that they've done time and time again in multiple sieges that have happened upon Gaza, that they call mowing the lawn, like Israeli officials have called mowing the lawn, which is genocidal rhetoric, but I won't even get into that. And last but not least, there are still, a lot of investigative reporters in Israel that are Israeli investigative reporters that have uncovered, the latest one being the 972 magazine. They're great, showing all of the details in which is like what tactics Israel applies when targeting buildings in Gaza. They call them power targets. And I'll show you the article real quickly and basically summarize it for you. But it's 972 magazine. It's an Israeli magazine that titled this article. It's by Yuval Abraham. A mass assassination factory inside of Israel's calculated bombing of Gaza. Permissive airstrikes on non-military targets and the use of an artificial intelligence system have enabled the Israeli army to carry out its deadliest war on Gaza. This came out on November 30th. Okay, even before then, if you had paid attention, if anyone had paid attention to like and knew the Dahia doctrine, you would know that this is like perfectly normal, and this is definitely something that Israel has done before. But this time it was a little bit different. It was even more brutal than previous incursions. After all, the October 8th military operation into Gaza started with the defense minister Yoav Gallant openly stating that they were fighting human animals that did not deserve to get food, electricity, and water. So they very openly started the military operations by stating that they were shutting off the electricity in the Gaza Strip, shutting off the water in the Gaza Strip, and shutting off food into the Gaza Strip. Israel has since then consistently held back aid, humanitarian aid convoys that are waiting at the Rafah border in Egypt.
That is a war crime.
All of these are every aspect.
But keep in mind, like I said, learning here that is all denied by the Israeli government. That's the case. That halting of those supplies.
They don't really deny it either. They say that it's righteous. It depends.
Well, no, but righteous or not, if it constitutes like Geneva is very definitive in its listing of what constitutes to be a war crime or not. So regardless of your righteousness, that doesn't have a play. So I guess bringing it full circle back to now. Like what is the current standing right now as far as it pertains to international courts of justice and
the International Court of Justice?
Aid in the
International Court of Justice is currently, and it's going to take years.
Where is that?
Currently
where are
going
they
through
doing
the details.
In Spain or something like that? Where were they?
Netherlands.
I thought there was one in Spain too. I could be wrong, but okay, go ahead.
It's in the Hague. So, okay. Would it surprise you if I were to tell you that the American government actually pushed a bill after 9/11 called cleverly titled as the Invasion of the Hague Act, that dictates that if any American service member or American citizen has ever tried for war crimes under the international jurisdiction of the International Criminal Courts, that America has full authorization to invade this foreign nation, the Netherlands, the Hague.
So if they don't like how the court case is going, they could just come in there?
No extradition whatsoever. Not even like a court case and how the court case is going. If you extradite our allies as well, or any like direct active duty service members, we pass the bill amongst ourselves that we can go and invade a foreign nation that is conducting this. 2002 Supplemental Appropriations Act for further recovery from the persons and terrorist attacks in the United States. Wait, is this the one? Hold on here. I'll show you I think this is the one, right? Or I don't know if it's the one. There's a couple different ones. But here, it's the American Service Members Protection Act. Exactly. This is the one. This is the official name of it. The American Service Members Protection Act, also known informally as the Hague Invasion Act, is a United States federal law described as a bill to protect the United States military personnel and other elected and appointed officials of the United States government against criminal prosecution by an international criminal court to which the United States is not party. The text of the act has been codified as Subchapter 2. The act gives the president power to use all means necessary and appropriate to bring about the release of any U.S. or allied personnel being detained or imprisoned by, on behalf of, or at the request of the International Criminal Court.
So it's like a presidential pardon for Kodak Black, but for war criminals.
Well, it's not even a presidential pardon. It's more so if you fuck around and find out. If you try to like prosecute any American or ally for war crimes that we think are not crimes, even if they are literally war crimes, we will invade you with the full might of the American military.
Mr. Burgerelli doesn't like that very much.
Yeah. Do you think? Yeah. Do you think that this is like good guy talk in the simplest, most reductive terms?
I mean, bro, I grew up fucking blessed to be on the winning side of all this shit. So I mean, I'm happy that we're having this conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's not like news to me. I'm not surprised by any of this shit. The U.S. is always, you know, like.
But yeah,
my question is, Hasan, what do we do beyond continue to drive awareness for, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, I can't fucking arm Palestinians. You know what I mean? Like, it's illegal. But even though the charities that I've worked with, people will claim are, you know, working with Hamas or whatever, which they're not.
Right.
But the only thing we can do at this stage from the United States of America is basically not only bring awareness to the atrocities, because this is for the first time ever, like a person like you had never been privy to what's going on. For the most part, or only heard about it.
There's been eruptions of Gaza, you know,
yes,
violence for a long time. This is clearly like the biggest it's
one
ever gotten.
Correct.
Correct.
Except for look, as someone who's been covering this for 10 years, like publicly, right? I will tell you this much. There's never been this much public support openly.
For sure.
Because every single instance in the past, people would just simply say, fuck that, you're anti-Semitic. Israel has to be a Jewish state. Israel, which is an ethno state, by the way, which, you know, fundamentally flawed. But it has to be a Jewish state. And the Arabs are anti-Semitic in their interest in like not being bombed by Israel and not being constantly living under like military rule in an illegal occupation of Israel. And if you ever call that out, if you ever say that that's fucking wrong, you're anti-Semitic, right? And that, understandably, especially in progressive circles, was like, well, what the fuck? I don't want to come across as an anti-Semite. This guy's a progressive. I trust him. He's a wonderful, kind individual. So I am not going to look further into it.
Is it true that there was some progress being made in the short term just before October 7th between?
No.
Well, because MBS had been making some level of at least sentimental movements with head of banking from the Israeli government in Saudi Arabia to try to drive better relationships between Jews and Arabs.
No.
That's
MBS is a fraudulent piece of shit and a monster, for the record. Mohammed bin Salman is responsible for a genocide in Yemen, for the record. So it's like,
well, I'm responsible for spilling water over.
So MBS is not like a peaceful guy.
Well, hold on a second. Dialing it back from all of that, was he not? Were conversations not taking place between Israelis and Arabs from the Saudi side to try to drive some level of work between the two?
Remember, the Arabs from the Saudi side do not have the interest of the Palestinian population at heart. Palestinians know this, and Palestinians will openly say this. Saudi Arabia, just like you previously mentioned, is a client state, which means that they don't give a fuck about the Palestinians or their plight at all. And famously, they don't actually care about the Palestinian plight at all. The government, I mean, the kingdom does not. The people do. The Arabs that live in these Gulf states do, which is why the Abraham Accords were like significant. But what has been presented to you is actually a normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel, not a normalization of between Israel and Palestinians
or Arab people in general.
Yeah. So, by the way, when I say Israel's an apartheid state akin to South Africa, that's not only my personal assessment of the situation, but that is actually objective reality according to B'Tselem, which is an Israeli human rights organization. That is the objective reality according to Amnesty International, which is a non-government organization. And that is objective reality according to Human Rights Watch as well. So, like, this is not really like a contested fact, I would say, unless you're talking to someone who is either A, completely oblivious to the realities, or B, very clearly biased towards Israel and trying to muddy the waters. But yeah, this is important as well. This chatter is correct. This is not a conflict between Arabs and Jews, and the way that is like the way that Israel has presented it, but that is not the case.
Right.
This is a conflict between the Israeli apartheid regime and the Palestinian people that have to live under the Israeli apartheid regime. And the surrounding Arab regions, for their own personal interests, can, you know, maintain good relations with one side over the other, but ultimately everyone is self-interested. And I think that the Palestinians deserve emancipation. Like it is their right. It is well within their right. It is also well within the international law that they can engage in a means of armed resistance against an occupying force. So like, while October 7 does have, it featured its great share of atrocities in the form of civilians being killed, like currently when the Israeli occupying force, for example, is like going into Gaza and like doing a ground invasion, when Palestinians fucking murk them, right, and film that shit, they are well within their legal right to do so. And, you know, then this is, again, not even like a contentious thing. I mean, it's contentious because like it's completely beyond the scope of comprehension in America to say such a thing. But the Israeli occupying force in its offensive measures in Gaza are actually the ones that are violating international law. As a belligerent occupier, like belligerent not in the sense that like they're crazy, belligerent as in like the old war conflict term, which means like you're one party to the war. As a belligerent occupier, Israel does not have a right to, quote unquote, defend itself by blowing up Gaza. So technically they are violating in the least ambiguous terms international law, like rules of international conflict.
I don't know how you do this for 7 hours.
I mean,
this is harder than construction, to be honest with you.
No,
like, bro,
I am a very stubborn guy. That's what it is. I think that's like
because my brain, dude, this is how I feel right now. I'll show you. Watch this guy. This is how I feel right now. Have you ever seen the movie Fantastic Mr. Fox with George Clooney?
I don't think so.
He's like
I
the
can pull
Fox.
it up if you want.
Yeah, I feel like this guy. He's like
yeah, I do this for 9 hours.
He's what he does, bro.
Yeah.
But he's like, and George Clooney asked him as a Fox, he's like, when you look at me like that, are you like, is there anything going on out there?
Yeah.
Dude. But I mean, you know, not to demean the conversation, but bro, it's a lot. It's heavy. It needs to be talked about by all means.
I'm a very stubborn person, and
well, I don't think so. I think I think you're passionate. I think that you're interested in you know the positive outcome for humanity in the area, and that's noble. You know what I'm saying? And so, do we want to get into conspiracy theories, like physically and actually? Because I will say this, I do. If you want to, anybody in this chat wants to continue this conversation, this is so ridiculous. I'm at Rolling Loud this weekend. I have a 1010 burger pop up there. So if you're switching from geopolitical theater conversation to Nicki Minaj by any chance today, I will see you there, and I'm interested in that, in continuing the conversation.
Okay. What do you want to? Are you leaving? Is this your?
No, it's no. Oh. My ass hurts a little bit.
You don't. By the way, you don't have to. You can leave at any moment. We've gone way past
what you thought we were gonna. No, yeah. but Hasan, I want to say this. Like honestly, this is like learning experience for me. Honestly, like you are extremely well studied on this stuff, and I think that there's a lot of people out there that parrot talking points. They hate farm, they engagement farm on Twitter with bullshit, studied and unresearched topics. And you clearly have your research, you have your evidence to back up the stuff that you talk about, and that's why I like talking to you.
You would never arrive at that unless you were charitable, and that's the point. Because there's a shit ton of stuff out there online. In the same way that we talked about, like the whole streaming is harder than a real job conversation. There's an entire cottage industry of people that basically take those like minor moments and make a lot of hay out of that and present me as like someone who is deliberately misinforming people. when in fact I am, you know, always very careful in the information that I'm presenting.
In a perfect world, someone would tactically call out the errors or omissions or inconsistencies in the facts that you're providing with compelling evidence from an alternate angle, and that would be called a productive debate. Unfortunately, it is not the society we live in. We live in the National Enquirer. The president is actually a reptile. Like, that is where we live. And so you, bro, there was a time and place in this world where scholarly conversation was elevated and people were excited about it, and they were in awe of this wonderful debate and conversation. Now, unfortunately, smart people, intelligent people are banished because they're boring. They've got too much facts to back it up.
I try to,
is the president a reptile or not? No one gives a fuck. Is Michelle Obama a man or not? Yes or no? Answer the question. And if Michelle Obama's not a man, you're a fucking liberal, bro. Okay, yeah. That's where we're at. That's the stupidity of the world we currently live in. I'm sorry.
I know that, which is why I like try to make it as entertaining and as palatable as possible. Like, we're having a serious conversation right now, but like, that's why I love conspiracy theories. And that's precisely the reason why I love, like, you know, talking about conspiracy theories, covering conspiracy theorists. And like, I'm fascinated with it, and I derive a lot of satisfaction from watching that sort of stuff. And
well, where are you drawing the line nowadays, Hasan? That's the thing. Like this huge. We still haven't gotten to Candace Owens saying the Prime Minister of France's wife is actually a man. Now, if you pulled it up, the evidence that she is using for this, if we even want to quickly dive into it, the evidence that she's using for this is that in her childhood photo, this woman actually they say it's her in a picture, but she actually looks more like her. Holy shit, she looks like her sibling.
That's crazy.
Holy shit, bro. She looks like her brother, bro.
I think you're scared of the truth. I think she arrived at a very valid, logical conclusion.
She looks more like her brother than she does herself. So for that reason, she's a man, bro. She's actually a fucking man, dude. So that's one evidence thing. And then the other big evidence, the same one they have on Michelle Obama. We've never seen her pregnant. We've never seen her pregnant. We've never seen Michelle Obama pregnant. How could she be a biological woman if we've never seen her pregnant?
You know, it's funny because
oh my God,
that same principle exists for their parents. Like, you came out of your mother's womb, but you never saw her pregnant.
I've never seen any pictures of my mom pregnant. I have never seen any pictures of Candace Owens' vagina.
Well, nowadays it could be.
Is Candace Owens actually a man?
So this is what is called transvestigation, for the record.
Oh, bro.
It's one of my favorite. It is one of my favorite conspiracy theories, because the conspiracy theory itself is rooted within the idea that gender is rigid and binary. But because gender actually in practice...
No, don't conflate this.
No.
Don't conflate
No,
this.
that's where it comes from.
That's going to conflate this. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, listen to me, listen.
Keep it within the strict gender guidelines that existed in 1950. I don't give a shit how you have this conversation.
No, I know. Listen.
This is not about gender neutrality.
No.
Or you know what I'm saying? Or
it doesn't mean that gender is like neutral or fluid. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm simply stating that you have no real way of 100% knowing whether someone is like literally a biological woman, like a cis woman, or not, unless you like literally look at their chromosomes.
No, that's the joke I'm making.
Yeah.
Correct. That's the joke I'm making.
No, but because of that, a lot of people who are transphobic end up literally doing this.
So that's why it's happening.
And the reason why they inevitably arrive at the conclusion that they genuinely believe that like maybe everyone is trans, actually, maybe my parents are fucking trans, is because they're so goddamn...
Where does it end? Where does it end, bro?
But
where does it fucking end? Like what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like okay, question. Is that chat real? Are those actually humans on the other side? Are you real? Are you actually really how do I know? How do I know?
Well, what you're describing is psychosis.
Okay, but this is the world that
no, because people delude themselves into psychosis because like they're so invested in a narrative and they like refuse to look at the facts of the matter, refuse to have an open mind, and then they literally end up being like a paranoid person who is unironically imagining things that don't exist in the real world. And if they were to just like sit back and maybe like scratch the surface, maybe re-examine the way that they understand an issue and be charitable,
right,
and look for nuance, they would be like, this is insane.
So the evidence that we have been presented is that she looks more like her brother, which would mean she looked more like a boy in her youth, and that we don't have any other pictures of her leading up until she became this prominent figure in France. So those are the two big evidence points. And this video did really well. I mean, Candace's video's got like 1-point-something million views.
Of course it did, because people are fucking insane. The funniest part about this story is this. What if it was true? What if this person was a trans woman? Nothing changes.
Who gives a
nothing changes?
Fuck. But that said, that's neither here nor there.
No,
well, yeah,
but
I guess technically you're right. I guess technically since the outcome it does not have a meaning anyways, then it should slightly discount the it is a good point.
Yeah, it just like doesn't literally it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I made fun of this the other day.
Then someone said, then why are you talking about it? Okay, valid point.
No, but that's the reason. That's the reason why they do it. That's the reason why they do it.
No, maybe chat's right. Because, chat, the reason why it's being brought up is because I saw this picture, I saw this whole thing. Chat, the reason why it's being brought up is because I have a fear that we are moving to a place where any kind of semblance of sensible conversation is being rooted out of society, and we are moving to a place where nothing can be talked about in any kind of beneficial or meaningful way. Everything is conflated. Everything is... like who's the best basketball player of all time? Like that used to be a Michael Jordan versus LeBron conversation. What if someone thinks that LeBron is a robot? Like where does it fucking end?
We're now done with you're talking about a post-truth. It's ironic. You're talking about postmodernism, I guess, where like we live in a post-truth world where there's no like objective facts. Who's to say what is an objective reality? Like you can't make that assessment. It is unknowable.
So if we want to go there, are we a theoretically conversating nation now? Are you elevating people to some sort of Plato like conversation and bias where I don't have I only exist by way of what my five senses tell me. So I've never met Michelle Obama in person before, so I'm not willing to use directional evidence to believe the fact that she is actually a woman.
Do you not remember my debate with Andrew Tate where I literally fucking owned him on that when I was talking about the value of like science and empirical evidence over personal anecdotes? Because I knew that he wasn't a flat earther, so I asked him, "Do you think the Earth is flat?" He said no, and I was like, "How do you know it's not flat? It feels flat." And he's like, "Well, I have personal experiences." And I was like, "Oh yeah, did you like fly up to space and look down? You have no fucking clue. You know, because it's science. Like science established it for you and you took it for fucking granted." Like these guys that claim that they don't care about science or reading or empirical evidence whatsoever actually do still care about it to a certain degree. But the dumber we get, the more we are, and the more entitled we are, the more Dunning-Kruger focused we are, the more we believe like, well, I came up with this idea all on my own, and I'm a fucking brave little boy. I'm a unique little snowflake. So if I came up with it, it must be true. Or at the very least, you have to listen to me and take it seriously. That's where a lot of this comes from. Back in the day, I think we could just tell someone, we could be like, "Nah, dog, you're dumb as fuck. Shut the fuck up," and move on. Now you can't do that because everyone's got a fucking social media account, and everyone's like, "Oh no, actually, I came up with the real secret truth that you're just having a hard time."
No. You're an elitist. You don't believe it because you support. You're an elitist.
Which, by the way, Elon Musk also supports it, but he's not an elitist.
Bro, I can't.
The richest guy on the planet agrees with me.
No. He said some of the right things, so he's not an elitist. He's for the people.
The richest guy on the fucking planet agrees with me.
Honestly, bro, when I started talking against Ryan Garcia and saying like, yo, bro, this dude needs to get help, and I care about Ryan Garcia, I want to see him get help, the entire internet was convinced that I was a handler. That I was a handler. Yeah. Hasan. What the fuck is going on, bro? Who am I handling? What am I handling? Am I Logan Paul's? Am I his handler? Is that what it is?
Yeah, you and Logan Paul are a part of the elite cabal, dude. That's what it is. That's why.
You got me. You caught me, bro.
That's why
they tapped me.
That's why
bro.
Prime blew up, because it is made with baby spinal fluid.
No. Ryan Garcia said cyanide, dude.
Oh, he says cyanide.
It's gonna get.
Dude. That's awesome. Yeah, no, he's
listen.
So
my final note on it, and I thank you for having me today. It was a great conversation. I learned a lot. My final note on it is that if you are, I wish we can get back to a place where if you are willing to take someone else's life into your hands by making a statement about them, that you understand that the onus of proof is on you, not on the defender. It is the onus of evidence.
Yeah.
The burden of proof is not on Michelle Obama to produce pregnancy pictures just because your psychotic ass thinks that she's actually a fucking man.
No,
the burden of proof is on you to provide evidence that clearly states in a court of actual non-psychotic people that what you are saying is objectively a true statement. We are not there right now, and until we get back to that place where a flawed social people, and that is what I would like to get back to. But guess what? We're not going back to it. Yeah. We ain't going fucking back, bro.
You can't prove a negative, which is like, that's why. Listen, whenever someone does that shit to you, be like, you're a pedophile. Go ahead, prove me wrong.
The best. That's what I've started. Candace Owens. How do we? I hated that I did that on this show because it doesn't work with your audience because then it turns into this investigative situation. That's not how I fucking meant it. That's not how I meant it. I didn't mean it like that.
No, I don't think anyone thinks you legitimately think Candace Owens is a trans woman.
No, right. I'm not trying to like out her. What I'm saying is, with that logic, why don't I have to pull my dick out right now to show you that I'm a man? Like that burden of proof is not on me.
Yeah,
it's not on me. No, it's on the accuser.
Exactly, which is why you can always be like, well, the way that you're operating, I could just say you're a pedophile and everyone has to believe me because you physically can never prove that you're not a pedophile. Like, they don't understand like this principle, this concept.
Right.
Like, you can't prove that. What are you going to show every single fucking moment of your life, like on camera, that you were not out there molesting children? You can't do that. I'm not going to believe it because what if the footage is doctored? You know what I mean?
AI.
What
if
it's
AI?
AI?
I'm trying to say there's no winning. But listen, thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
I do thoroughly enjoy your ability to dive into actual evidentiary, and be committed to these topics and look for proof and look for actual evidence. And you're doing a great job. And this shit is fucking harder than construction. Okay, I'll just say it right now, dude.
Not.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear what you guys talked about with Jinxie.
I mean, bro, how can it not all be positive when Hasan's involved? Chat, I love you guys. If you're out there right now and you're having a tough time or you're having a bad day, zoom out, look at your life, look at the quality of your life, look at the things that you're grateful for. If you have parents, love them. If you have a dog, go throw the ball with it. You got a lot of stuff going on good in your life right now.
Touch grass, is what you're saying.
And touch fucking grass, dude, and appreciate the fact that real life is out there. It's really happening. Be grateful for the things you have. If you haven't read The Fifth Vital and you want to, it's helped a lot of people. It's helped a lot of people in jails and rehabs. It's made a large impact on a lot of people with addiction and mental health issues. Go ahead, read The Fifth Vital. It's available on Amazon. It'll be at your house in 2 days. And that's
He wrote the book.
And I wrote the book, so enjoy it. Love you guys.
There's a lot of people saying I was dead ass wrong about Mike.
I do my best, dude. And I'm gonna go do leg day now.
All right.
I'm not doing that. I'm going. I'll see you at Nicki Minaj. All right. I love you, bro.
All right.
Have a good day. Can I pee really quick?
Yeah. No, you can't pee. It's first left. Okay. What a lovely young man. bro, Mike is made for a podcast. Bro's a grade A yapper. I mean this in the nicest way. Yeah, no, he is. He is a yapper. He's a professional yapper. I hope you guys appreciated that. I think that was a fantastic conversation. And